Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started by just welcoming all of you guys. Welcome to Watang Yu. Nice to see you guys here. Welcome to anyone who's joining online as well. Today is our day to go out and do a tour. I'm going to take you guys to two different temples. I'll explain to you guys what we're going to be doing after we do some meditation. I start our day with meditation here for each class, for each event that we do. We start with meditation. If you guys would like to join in the meditation, the way that we start this is with some chanting to ease into the meditation. If you'd like to see these chants and even chant along, we have sheets over there on the cabinet that you're welcome to help yourself to. It's important to keep in mind that if you do this chanting, it's not a rite, ritual, ceremony, worship, or prayer, or anything like this, that during the lifetime of the Buddha, they used chanting as a way to help commit the teachings to memory, where every 2 weeks his students would come together and they would recite his teachings orally. This is how he used chanting during his lifetime as a learning tool, as a learning device. So this isn't a rite or ritual or ceremony or worship or prayer. Nowadays, we use it to ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. If you read the English translations, you're going to see a lot of respect, appreciation, gratitude for the Buddha. And because of that, I don't think the Buddha even created these chants, because the Buddha wouldn't have walked around and said, here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me, right? This would be ego. And someone who's gotten to enlightenment, they would have eliminated their ego. But I still chant these because it helps to ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. The Buddha dedicated his time from the age of 35 to 80 when he died to sharing the teachings that it takes to get to this enlightened mental state where the mind can be completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. By the time you get to enlightenment, you no longer experience any discontent feelings. You would have eliminated all the causes and conditions that produce things like anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. So if you learn from a teacher how to accomplish that goal, and this is a permanent mental state that you're experiencing, and this teacher didn't want anything from you or expect anything from you, you'd probably have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for that person too. And that's why I think that these chants actually came from his students, because he was helping people get to this enlightened mental state. And there's multiple benefits of getting to enlightenment. The one that I just mentioned is just one of those. So if you'd like to chant along, you're more than welcome to. Welcome to you guys. You guys are welcome to come in. We're getting ready to start with meditation. So after the chanting, I'm going to come in with some guidance where I'm going to be essentially guiding you in meditation, teaching you and instructing you how to meditate as we're actually meditating together. Then there's going to be a period of time where it's just quiet and we're all meditating. Everyone here at the temple and anyone joining online will just all be meditating together at the same time. During that period of quietness, I'm sure you're going to hear occasional sounds. You might hear a car go by, a bird chirping, a dog barking. Someone here might cough or sneeze. This is all completely normal. That if you're in meditation with a craving for permanent silence, when you hear a sound during meditation, you'll be annoyed and frustrated. But this is your own mind that's causing this. Oftentimes people think it's the outside world that's causing their inner feelings, but it's actually what's going on within one's own mind. This is the reason why you can eliminate all these feelings, because it's your own mind that's actually causing them. So you can actually get to a point where you understand that the world is impermanent. It's constantly changing. But the mind in the unenlightened state craves permanence. So you would like to be sure that as you're in meditation, you understand that you're going to hear occasional sounds, and that's normal. Those sounds are going to arise, they're going to change, and they're going to fade away. So that way you can be at peace and you can be at ease during your meditation. Whereas if you have a craving for permanent silence, you could cause your mind to be frustrated or irritated or annoyed when you hear certain sounds in meditation. Then we're going to come out of that with some more chanting. And then that's where I'll share with you guys a bit about what we're going to do on our tour, and you can understand that, and then we'll head off on our journey. In terms of your body position for meditation, there's 4 positions that the Buddha taught. He taught seated, lying, standing, and walking. And you would learn these different positions at different times in your journey to enlightenment. It's kind of like having a tool belt. You would use these different tools at different times as part of your journey to enlightenment, where oftentimes students are learning in the seated position. So I'll give you guys a little bit of guidance on this so you'll be familiar with it. But just keep in mind that what I'm sharing with you are just recommendations or suggestions, because there isn't just one way to meditate, because that would be permanent, right? And all of our bodies are different. So we're going to find different things to be comfortable. So you can sit however you like. There's no one way to sit. So you might consider these things that I'm going to share with you, but but you can use these that I'm sharing with you, but you can use something that you've come up with too, as long as the body's comfortable. So if you're on the floor in a chair, you might be at home on a bench or a sofa or a wheelchair, you can sit however you like. If you're on the floor, you might have some cushions under your ear. This will kind of help soften your seat. And then if you're going to bring your legs together in the cross leg position, you might just choose to do that lightly. Whereas if they were real tight, it could impede the circulation in the lower body. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This kind of helps get your hips up in the air, and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles, allowing the circulation to flow. The Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. But again, it's not about everyone doing it exactly the same way. If you find this to be comfortable, feel free to use it, but there's other options here as well. Some people like to put their palms on their thighs or their knees. Some people put their palms up. Some people rest their hands comfortably in their lap. So you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. And it's the same thing for anybody who's in a chair or a bench or a sofa or a wheelchair. You can sit however you like too. Some people like to put their feet flat on the floor or lightly cross at the ankles, but you can see me sitting in a chair here with my legs crossed. So this is an option for you as well. And then you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. In terms of your upper body, it's helpful if this is erect. With the sternum up and the shoulders back, this will help keep your mind attentive and alert during the meditation, because this is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities from the mind and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities in the mind. So you'd like the mind to be attentive and alert during the meditation. Whereas if you were slouched like this, your mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you were real rigid, your mind could be overactive or uptight. So you'd like the upper body to be in the middle with the sternum up and the shoulders back, because not only will it help keep the mind attentive and alert so you can actively train it, but it'll make it easy for you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So again, I'm going to do this chanting in order to ease into the meditation, and you guys are welcome to join in if you like. Arahang Sama Sambuddho Mahakeva Bhutang Mahakavanang Apivateyami Savakato Mahakavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Savaka Sankho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Iti piso Mahakava Arahang Sama Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakato Rokavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusarang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect. Just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. A nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakawa Otang Mahakawanhang Apiwate Savakato Mahakawata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Sanghang Namami Namo Arhasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Arhasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Arhasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Mahakawa Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakato Rokavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusarang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to all of you guys. Nice to see everyone here this morning. Welcome to everyone online who's joining for our meditation as well. Today's a day where I take students out to tour 2 different temples here in Chiang Mai, and I do this once a month. I help you to be able to understand the artwork, the architecture, the symbolism of the temples, because oftentimes when people come to Thailand and they're visiting temples, they don't really have a background to understand what it is that they're actually seeing. And while it's fun to go out and see all these beautiful things that are in the temple, it has a lot more interest, and it's a lot more enjoyable when you understand what it is that you're actually looking at. So I'm going to help you to be able to understand the artwork, the architecture, and the symbolism of a temple, so that when we walk around through the temple, it's kind of like a classroom without walls, where I'm going to be helping you to understand the teachings of the Buddha through the things that you're seeing at the temple. And then as you visit other temples, you'll be able to actually understand that symbolism. And then the temples will almost speak to you. When you walk into a temple, it's almost like the temple walls are speaking to you, because you understand the artwork, the architecture, and the symbolism. It can be really fun to enjoy temples in this way. If you were Thai and you were living in Thailand and you went on holiday, say you lived in Chiang Mai and you were going to Phuket for a holiday, usually they mix into their time on family holiday going to visit a few temples in whatever area that they're in. And they explore those temples, and it's really fun to go into those temples and look around. Where some of us, we might go to places like Disney World or Disneyland or, theme parks or something like that. Thai people, to go visit temples. That's what they enjoy doing. And they look around at the temples and they check them out, and they kind of glean information, because a lot of these temples, they were created 500 to 1,000 years ago. And the people that created the temples and constructed them, they were communicating something to you. And if you understand the language that they're speaking in terms of the artwork, the architecture, and the symbolism, you can decipher what it is that they're actually sharing with you. So I'm going to help you to be able to kind of decode what it is that you're seeing when you walk through a temple. And then you can apply those same lessons to any temple that you go to. This particular tour is something that I do each month, and I invite students, anybody who would like to come to the tour, to be able to come. But there's also some students here that have been studying throughout the week. I had a course here. It was called Foundation and the Path to Enlightenment course, and some of those students have been studying throughout the week, and now this is kind of like the capstone for that course. So if you ever take that course, you'll know that this is what we do on Fridays. And then many of you guys, you're just coming here for the first time. Before I share some things with you guys, can I see a show of hands? How many of you guys are actually here for the tour? Because sometimes people come just for meditation. Can I see a show of hands? Let me just take a count. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, that'll help me to know how many trucks that I need, because what I do is I organize some transportation for us. And we usually all pile into those red trucks, and then we make our way through our journey. We're going to first go to a place called Wat Umong. This is a forest temple, because there's two different branches of teachings here in Thailand. There's the forest tradition and what some people refer to as the city tradition, even though all the temples aren't actually in the city. The way that they're actually referred to is Dhammayut and Dhammagai. This is the way that we refer to them, but you guys probably don't understand what Dhammayut and Dhammagai means, so we say forest temple and city temples. So we're going to visit this forest temple first. It's very park-like. There's lots of trees. You'll actually probably think you're in a nature park when you're walking around in this particular temple. These temples are known for kind of being closer to the teachings of the Buddha. About 10% of the temples in Thailand are of this type. And this is a place where people oftentimes go to learn the teachings and be able to develop their understanding of the teachings. So I'm going to walk you around Wat Umong, and we'll kind of finish up there probably around 12 o'clock or so. And then we'll make our way up the mountain in the transportation that is here. And then we'll go to a hill tribe restaurant. And at that hill tribe restaurant, they have a really big, thick menu. They have dishes that are meat dishes, vegan dishes, vegetarian dishes. They have all different types of foods you can imagine. And if there's something that you order that they don't have, I've seen them go get it from somewhere else. So they're going to take really good care of you in terms of replenishing your body. And then after we eat lunch, then we're going to go into Wat Doi Sutep, which is up on the mountain. And this is a very different type of temple. And as I walk you through these temples, I'm going to be teaching you what the teachings of the Buddha are. But in some cases, I'm going to be teaching you what the Buddha's teachings are not, because there's many misunderstandings in the world about the teachings of the Buddha. And some of these temples are actually doing things that aren't actually the teachings of the Buddha. So that'll actually help you to understand what the teachings of the Buddha are, is by understanding what the teachings of the Buddha are not. Whenever you see rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, or prayer as part of the teachings, that's actually not what the Buddha taught. That when you go to some of these temples, you're going to see rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, and prayer. And the Buddha never taught any of those kinds of things. What the Buddha taught is to cultivate your mind and train your mind. He discovered certain pollutions that are in the mind. And when you train your mind using the tools and techniques that he shares, and you uproot those pollutions out of your mind, that's where you'll see the mind moving closer and closer to the enlightened mental state. What enlightenment is where the mind's completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. You no longer experience any discontent feelings. By the time someone has gotten to enlightenment, they will no longer experience any anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. The causes and conditions that are producing this have been uprooted and eliminated out of the mind. Oftentimes people think that it's the outside world that's causing these feelings, but it's actually from what's happening within your own mind. This is why you can actually eliminate these feelings, because it's being caused by what's going on inside your own mind. If it was the outside world that was causing these feelings, you wouldn't actually be able to eliminate them. So the Buddha figured out how to do this, and then he spent the rest of his life sharing those teachings with other people to be able to figure out for themselves how to actually cultivate their mind and get to this enlightened mental state. But you need the teachings and guidance of a Buddha to be able to understand how to do this. And as you apply these techniques, not only will you uproot the causes and conditions that are producing those discontent feelings, but also you'll notice that you have focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory, because the mind's going to be performing optimally. That when you have these pollutions in the mind, your mind can't perform optimally. So when you uproot them out of the mind, you'll have focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory. And you'll notice that your personal and professional relationships are really blossoming, because in the unenlightened state, when these pollutions are in the mind, you'll have a certain amount of bitterness and harshness and hostility in your mind, and that'll come out through your intentions, your speech, and your actions, particularly around the people that you're closest to, your parents, your siblings, your life partner, your children, people like this. You'll tend to have a certain amount of bitterness and hostility towards these people. This is because the mind is craving permanence. It has wants and expectations. And when the mind gets what it wants, it experiences happiness or excitement. It has pleasant feelings. But when the mind doesn't get what it wants, it experiences painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. The mind is essentially craving permanence in the unenlightened state. And the world around you is impermanent. It's constantly changing. So as long as your mind is craving permanence while you live in an impermanent world, it's only a matter of time before you become frustrated or agitated or annoyed about something. So you can actually uproot this and train your mind to no longer do this. And that's what the path to enlightenment is. It's a purification of the mind. It's training the mind. It's becoming a better and better human being where you don't need to be disgruntled and angry and frustrated and bitter and hostile and harsh with the people around you. By the time you get to enlightenment, you don't even experience a bad mood anymore. It's physically impossible for you to experience a bad mood by the time you get to enlightenment. So none of the teachings of the Buddha are based in belief. So you're not going to hear me talking about a bunch of beliefs today where you're believing a bunch of things and then hoping something good happens when you die. That's not what the teachings of the Buddha are. It's about learning, growing, and developing in this life and getting to an ideal life now in this life where you can experience the peace and joy now in this life. Because you're training your mind now, you'll experience the benefits now through the teachings of the Buddha. He's helping you to awaken to the wisdom of the natural laws of existence. The natural laws of existence is how the world truly works and how the world truly functions. In the unenlightened state, there'll be a lack of wisdom. There'll be certain beliefs or false opinions and views that the mind will have. And as long as the mind holds on to these and clings to these, then it will continue to stay stuck in this unknowing of true reality, this lack of wisdom, this confusion and misunderstanding. And when you lack wisdom about how the world truly works, then the mind will struggle and have difficulties. If you've ever watched the news or if you've ever heard from your family about what your family members were doing, and you're like, I just don't understand why they keep doing that. I don't understand. This is the mind living in a world that it doesn't understand. And it will have struggles and difficulties. Just like when we grew up and we didn't understand the natural law of gravity and we struggled and had difficulties with that. We fell down, we hit our head, we bumped our elbows, we broke our toys, and we cried and cried and cried. It's because we were living in a world that we didn't understand. There was a natural law that we didn't have wisdom of, and therefore we were making unwise decisions. And we fell down, we hit our head, we bumped our elbows, and then we cried because we were discontent, because we were living in this world struggling and having difficulties that we didn't understand this world that we lived in. But slowly but surely, we gained wisdom of this natural law of gravity, and we might say that we awoke. That's what it means to awaken to something, is that you've cultivated wisdom about it. And now with that wisdom, we started making wiser and wiser decisions. We started tying our shoes tighter. We started looking at the surface of the sidewalk. We stopped being so giddy and bouncing around like a kid all the time. And that's why now we can ride bicycles, we can climb ladders, we can get on airplanes and fly all over the world because we make wise decisions about this natural law. We understand it because we have wisdom about it now, and we no longer struggle. In fact, if we fall down, we might even start laughing nowadays. Whereas a kid, we didn't do that. We just cried and cried and cried. So there's these other natural laws that are affecting you, whether you're aware of it or not. And that's what the Buddha did throughout his teachings, is he's sharing with you what these natural laws are. And then you don't believe these. Instead, you learn, investigate, and examine them. You reflect on them to independently verify whether they're true or false. And then you practice these teachings. You integrate them into your day-to-day life and start making decisions through these natural laws. And now with this wisdom, you will navigate the world more peacefully, just like we do with the wisdom of the natural law of gravity. And we never believed in the natural law of gravity. We can see the truth for ourselves that it actually exists, right? We can see it right there. We're not believing in the natural law of gravity. And you'd like to get to the same point with all these other natural laws, that you can see them clear as day. And that's what the Buddha is teaching you, is how to cultivate this wisdom about these natural laws so that when you understand how the world truly works, you can now navigate the world more peacefully and more joyfully. So as we go today, I'm going to be stopping at different stops along the way. I'm going to be teaching you what you're seeing through the artwork, the architecture, and the symbolism. And you guys will be able to ask any and all questions that you like. You'll be able to hang out with each other, get to know some new people, some new friends. You get to eat some really great food, get a little bit of exercise. And there's nice cool weather today, which is a little bit different than when we're out here in, April and May and this kind of thing. We're pretty hot, pretty sweaty. So you guys, it looks like you're going to have a pretty decent weather day where it'll be nice and cool that we can walk. You won't really need much of anything, just a little bit of money, because along the way, there's food and snacks and things like this. So you don't need to load yourself up with a bunch of stuff. Everywhere we're going, if you guys have been in Thailand long enough, they put food everywhere. There's food within, really close by, so you don't have to worry about that. So usually what the students do is they share the cost of the trucks, which ends up being about 200 to 300 baht per person. They're going to take us from here to Wat Umong to Wat Doi Sotep, and come back. And we usually get back here around 5 o'clock. But with busy season and traffic, it might be a little bit later. And by the way, this evening at 6 p.m., if you'd like, we have a movie night where we have Temple Movie Fun Night. So we're going to be showing a movie. We're going to be popping popcorn. Other students are going to be coming. So if you guys would like to hang out after the tour, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So the students will typically share the cost of the truck. Then there's a lunch that you might decide to buy, whatever you decide to eat. And then, there's a little bit of an entrance fee in some of the temples. So there's those kinds of things to keep in mind. If you have about 600 to 800 baht in your pocket, you should be just fine for the day, depending on how much you like to eat and if you'd like to shop, because there's also shopping along the way as well. So let me see if you guys have any questions about our day and how it's going to unfold before we get going. Does anybody have any questions? Anything? No? Okay. Well, if you guys would like to use the restroom or anything like that, what I'm going to do is close up the classroom, and I'll meet you guys out at the tables in front of the classroom. I'm looking forward to having a really fun day with you guys and enjoying our time together, and enjoy yourself and enjoy each other. So thank you for being here, and let's have fun. Yeah. You guys had questions? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, it's right back there. There's 2 of them back there. Yep. Mm-hmm.